be in communication with people, how to develop and cultivate relationships when it's working and when it's really not. And our relationship has gone through such a wide variety of really great times and really not great times. We've nearly split apart, we've nearly gotten divorced. There's been so many different moments that we've gotten through. And I would say that a lot of it has to do with programs like The Next Level, transformational work, personal development, the things that you know help soothe your heart. And I know Garen talks a lot about what comes from the heart goes to the heart. It's really, for me, been a lot of our journey. The depth of our relationship has lasted the test of time because we've been willing to go to the heart. And no matter how hard it was, no matter how loud the voices got, at the end of the day, we love each other. And it's the common ground that we meet on. So in tribal leadership, a lot of what we talk about is these different stages of how to show up as a leader. And then you go through these 5 different stages, all those stages. Who here was at the LDW training this weekend?
Yeah!
Who here was in the room when Dennis Dowdell was sharing?
Yeah.
Awesome. So he went over the 5 stages of tribal leadership. And each of us go through it, some to a very big degree, some to a smaller degree as we move up the stages. And the key to it is, in The Next Level, you listen to the audio of the book instead of just reading it, because when someone's sharing with you something in an audio version, the way that you listen to it is not from your perspective, but from theirs. And so you hear it in a different way. Versus when you read it, it's your perspective. You hear the words the way you want to hear them, and you assess and evaluate them that way. So if you're the type of person that learns better by reading, a recommendation is listen while you read. Watch the words, but listen to the person as you read the words. There are multiple levels of learning and ways that we each learn. I know several of you have heard of the expression neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. And inside of that, there's multiple ways of learning. And our gift to ourselves is to honor the way we learn the best, and then pay it forward. Because when we take how we learn and then we share it with someone else, we're also cultivating our ability to learn a new style of learning. And the more we have a wider breadth of learning, the more we can actually serve more people. So, a big question for you, which you'll uncover in the program should you take it, is what is my style of learning? If you don't already know, what is my style of learning? So that you can get a clear picture of how you'd like to create conversations with people. So just as a little side note, there are 3 different ways of learning that are the primary learnings. There's audio, what you see on a board. There's, what you hear. So when you're listening to tribal leadership. There's visual, what you see on the board. And then there's kinesthetic, or touch, what you feel. And that's where a lot of the open-heartedness and the experience of connecting and energy and flow happens. And as you develop, what I've done is honed my skills in all of the ways of learning, so that I can be a vessel that provides for people and meets them at their level of learning. If you take nothing else away from working with me, this is the most important thing you write down. In big letters on its own page. It's a pretty long sentence, so not so big. I have all the inner resources I need to take care of and transform any unresolved issues in my life. When you're done, look up for me. If you don't mind standing up, please. Yes, you, beautiful lady. What's your name?
Marilyn,
Marilyn. If you can read that out loud, everybody.
I have all the inner resources I need to take care of and transfer any unresolved issues in my life.
Okay, so notice how she read that. It's the first time she's hearing herself say this. So did she read it and hear it, or did she read it to get through it? Did she just read it? Right, so now turn around. Great. Now I want you to connect to 3 people's eyes in the room.
Okay.
Take a moment with them, connect with them for a moment. Remember the next person. Go to a person on another part of the room. Beautiful. And now, from your heart, read that out loud. This is you.
I have all the inner resources I need to take care and transform any unresolved
Thank you very much, Marilyn. So it takes a very different level of courage to actually read something from your heart than to just say what someone tells you. And that's the difference between taking and hearing the information and processing it and learning and giving it away. If I walk up to you and I just tell you something, how are you going to receive it? Not so great, right? Who made you boss? When did you become the hero of this planet? But if I take it into my heart and I'm so excited to share something that I just got with you. You have a moment? Now all of a sudden I'm connected to that moment that I got it and the opportunity for you to get it too. And when I'm speaking to people, so often I speak directly to them. I come over them, I touch them, I make them the center of the communication. Because don't all of you experience something right now? But when I'm speaking directly to you, doesn't it feel like you're the most important person in the room? You don't have a button on my dress? It's so important for us to get really connected to that part of ourselves that knows what we need, that knows who we are, that knows what we have, that knows that we're special, that we matter, that we're valuable, that we're a gift. And when we forget that, sometimes all we need to do is look in it and find it in someone else, but find it inside of ourselves. Hi! Hello, you. So that's a little bit of what you get inside of this program, is that awareness of, oh my gosh, I've been running from myself for so long. Who's been running from themselves? Who would like to stop running away from yourself? Who would like to stand right now? So let's have everybody stand up. We're going to read this aloud together so we get the experience together. On the count of 3, we're going to all read it together. And when you read it, you're reading this to hear yourself say it to who? Me. Yes, you're hearing it for you. Okay? I'm reading this to hear it for who?
Myself.
Yes. Excellent. So 1, 2, 3.
I have all the inner resources I need to take care of and transform any unresolved issues in my life.
All right, Sam, we can sit now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.
So one of the wonderful things about the program is that, is that there are a number of people on the call. So the program, we'll go through all the details, but you'll be on a call with a whole big group of people. And so Monica, from all around the country, and so when we're coaching someone, when we're having a conversation with someone, there's 2 different ways of looking at it. Monica talked about lenses. And one lens that you're able to hear it is the content. So while she was talking just a moment ago, Monica was talking about the heart and connecting and how really you're able to resolve any issues, that you have all the tools. But she was also teaching something else at that same time. She was, if you notice how when she was speaking to you, she looked in your eyes and she, made a connection with you. And how she had you look in people's eyes and connect with someone. So while you're on the calls, one lens that you're listening from, that is an opportunity to listen from, is the information. But then the other lens is, how is Monica and how am I, how are we working with this person, and how can I learn from that so that I'm able to now work with people on my team? Because every single person on that call is essentially someone who's on your team right now, or someone who resembles someone who's on your team right now, or someone that you're going to be working with in the future. And so that's one of the real awesome things is that there's the multiple lenses, and it's not just when you watch her, and when you're listening in on the calls and when we're working, it's not just the information, but it's how is it being delivered, and when are the pauses, and how are we doing the eye contact. And if you notice, like, the way that she just spoke to them, if you're speaking to a potential client, or if you're speaking to a coach, do you get like how effective that would be? Because it's not just information. It's not just, this is what you need to do, go do it, go be successful. But it's a lot of, what comes from the heart goes to the heart. We all want to be successful. We all want to make a difference. We're all human beings and we care about you. And like, how can we work together to make a difference? So I saw you do that and I had to make that up.
Awesome. So to continue with the story a little bit, so I worked in corporate America for 20 years. I worked with John Lasseter at Pixar Animation Studios, and worked on A Bug's Life, and worked on Toy Story, and supported, one of the most incredible directors of animation on the planet. And I learned about storytelling. I learned about taking people's stories and really understanding what makes a person, really getting into a why behind a story or behind a person. I worked in military defense and space technology, and I worked with engineers who had given 25, 30, 40, 50 years of their life to get the astronauts from the Apollo mission home, to create the satellite detection system, to do all of these incredible things. And what was so profound for me was not that, but it was the people whose lives, who they gave their life for a dream, for something possible. And I had the privilege of interviewing these people who gave 50 years of their life. And what I learned being as an Herbalife member is the celebration, the recognition, and the opportunity that we have is so much different than an engineer who gets celebrated after 50 years with a dinner and a cufflink. It's just a very different mindset. This is a personal developed company. And the consciousness of Herbalife itself is so high that it's no wonder why this kind of a program really helps hold together and glues together the direction that we're going, the collaboration that we are, the uniqueness that we each are that adds to that collectiveness, that creates the we that we all are to move in that direction together. So once I moved out of corporate America, I thought, how am I going to make a difference for people? How am I really going to cultivate people and show people that they don't have to be stuck in a job for 50 years to make a difference? And so what I did is I went and I got my master's in spiritual psychology. And right before that is when I started teaching the program that Mark and Jill and Jake met in. And that journey has brought me to here, where I've worked with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, either one-on-one or in group settings, teaching them how to find their voice, teaching them how to listen in a way that has them hear beyond the words someone's saying, but actually what someone wants to communicate. It helps people stand inside of who they are and what they're great at, rather than just doing what they think they need to do to be successful. And that's my commitment, that's my mission on this planet, is to help people see how great they are, how to share that with the world, and that their smallest thing that they value the least is one of the most important things that they have. So that background has gotten me into the opportunity to work with a lot of different people. And my husband and I, as a result of a lot of that work, have continually transformed our relationship and our communication. So I want to pass the torch to you to be able to really share where your background comes from.
Sure. So I love movies, and growing up I always wanted to make movies because I wanted to tell stories also that touch people, that inspired people, that moved people. And I went to UCLA and I got a master's in screenwriting, and that was really the path that I was going to be on. And I pursued that for a while, and at that time we had just gotten married, and Monica mentioned that we met when she was 18, and we had a beautiful relationship in college. And then we got married, and it was like the real world and the real life. And, yes, and she was right. And we're going to be high, and it wasn't working. It wasn't working at all. And what was really crazy for me was I grew up in a household where I never saw my parents have an argument, like ever. And it was so funny. One time we were out to dinner with friends, and we were having a conversation. It was four of us, and we we were talking about what is it like when our parents argue. And one, Monica told her story, and this person told their story, and they all shared the story, and it came to me, and I said, I never have seen my parents argue. And they looked at me and they said, you are so messed up. And I didn't know that. And then what happened was we were in our this brand new marriage, and we got into an argument, and I had none of the tools to handle what was happening. For me, it was the end of the world, because I had never seen like dispute and resolution. I had never seen people actually disagree and then work it out and then love each other afterwards. And just because they just always hid that from me. And it was like, okay, I have some learning I need to do. And I don't even know that I had learning that I need to do. And so that was when I took my first personal development program. And it was just wild, because actually Monica took it first, and she came out of it and she said, I just want you to know that I've been blaming you for everything that's not working in my life.
And he's right about it.
And being right about it. And that was like, okay, whatever you just did, I now need to do, because I thought that I was the cause for everything that wasn't working. And I took this program, and I came back and I said, wow, I had no idea that I was not being myself, because I was so scared of saying something wrong, because I was so scared of falling into the next argument. I had become Jan the robot. So I'd walk into a room and I'd look at the situation and I'd see, okay, how is she feeling? What does she want? What shouldn't I say? What shouldn't I do? And I was just in complete reactive mode. And when I learned that about our relationship, I saw that that's who I was being in life. That I was never being Jan. That's all anybody wanted. And that's all everybody wanted, was just to be me. But what I had been doing was I was the guy who had to be perfect. I had to look good. I had to make sure that everyone liked me. I had to make sure that no one ever was upset. I had to be very politically correct. I had to do everything just right. And that, as you can imagine, gave me no freedom to do anything. So that began my personal development journey. And from there, I took a number of programs, and I took a leadership program where really it was all about learning how to connect with people and how to listen, and really all about how to quiet the conversation in your mind. Because, when I got here, and I've been using these tools as I've been up here, because I've been having a lot of chatter in my mind. And what I really learned was, when you're in contribution, there's no space for judgment. So imagine a space of contribution. And then judgment is, did I do good? Am I doing right? Do they think I'm smart? All these things. Am I looking good? Just all these things that constantly in my mind. And I'm standing here and I'm next to her and I'm thinking, okay, she's talking and she's brilliant, and how am I going to express so that I can come across as great as she does, right? And then I just use that tool of, everyone here, they're just here to learn. They're here to grow. They're here to see what's possible for themselves. They're here to learn something that they can share with others. And it doesn't matter, if my zipper's down, or if I have something in my teeth, or if I say something and it doesn't come out exactly right.
Just hope you would tell him.
Yes. The intention